run with her buffed E, I mean, this champion probably is going to get hotfixed at some point.
The changes they made, it's like, we want to shift Gwen into being less of a late game, like, scaler, and more even throughout the entire game. They just buffed all of her numbers pretty much and took a bit of power out of the W. I mean, this is what you end up with, Gwen first pick, which I see it, I'm like, that's not healthy for the game, but that's the game that we're in on this patch. It just kind of happens to work that way. So that said, pieces put around it. Last time we saw Gwen paired up with a Vi Galio, which worked out really well for NIP in their match 1 win against OMG. This time, of course, Galio banned, Vi denied. Gonna have to switch things up. It is a Xin Zhao for Aki into the Vi, and Lead gets his hands on a Kaisa for the day. So very heavy dive identity and a lot of magic damage showing early on. So curious if we see Doinby maybe reach for a couple of AD champions, and curious to see if we have any of those actually banned away here from FPX to move into the second phase of draft.
Yep. And FPX are already trying to identify good pairings for Doinby to grab so that he can always move with Aki, to move with Shanji and leave, and further empower the diving potential on this NIP composition. I do want to note that FPX have picked up this Gnar once again for Sheer. Like we pointed out earlier, player of the game, massive performance. He had blind picked this champion and performed with such bravado and such style that, you know what, if you are an FPX fan, you know, you're hoping that he can recreate that kind of magic again in this Game 5 against NIP, but, you know, this is going to be a tougher caliber opponent than OMG were, so we're going to see if FPX can really bring it to them, as last couple of bans coming down to the wire now.
Yeah, the Karma band's interesting because obviously it's something that Doinby might be able to play mid. Pairs up pretty well with the Xin, the Gwen. And would be something that can kind of bridge the Kaisa and the Gwen into the later stages of the game. I think that's what Doinby's looking for, and frankly, I'm looking at maybe seeing a surprise Pantheon. Like, he played mid Pantheon with a Stride Breaker.
Yeah.
I think this game, it kind of works. Like, Kaisa Gwen's enough damage.
That's a diver. That's a diver right there.
Yeah. It's really tough. Like, if Doinby plays a magic damage champion, I think that NIP is kind of at risk for overdosing on magic damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if Doinby grabs something like that, as we see. Somehow Kalista made her way all the way through this draft, and frankly now Doinby can easily play Talia too and be okay with that as well. So
quick question, man.
It's a lot of magic damage, but I think it's okay.
Yeah. How good is Poppy support blind? It just as a blind pick. Like, what are you afraid of getting punished by?
Everything.
Okay, never mind. That point aside, I was just curious. You know, I always know that, you know, Poppy, steadfast presence, great way to shut down a Kalista and just make it pretty unbearable for her to try and hop, skip, and jump around. But you know what? A classic enabler is the Talia, being able to roam to either side lane. Doinby knows that this game is not really about him to pop off. It's about getting Leave to pop off on the Kaisa. It's about getting Shanji to pop off on the Gwen. And, you know, the roaming potential that you have with Talia. And now being able to pair that up with a Rakan who can not only, once again, empower dives, but also be able to try and buy time if a Vi ever jumps onto your backline with the charm off that quickness.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, looking at this draft for FPX, I just don't think it's the right game to play Kalista Renata. Like for me, the Renata, it's not an overdose on dive from NIP. This should be a winning bot lane against the Kaisa Rakan in isolation, but I just don't think that, like, in the fights, this is exactly what they need. And playing Kalista against Talia, Xin, Gwen just seems like a really tough task for me. So it's like whatever lead you get bot, it's not super effective into what Doinby and NIP are showing. And then, again, Leave on the Kaisa can always scale and one-shot something like Kalista later on. So I think that this draft, for me, we saw what Sheer's been able to do on the Gnar. I just don't think that, as a whole, FPX is as set up for success as the last draft. I found that one against OMG, and I don't love the bot lane that they went with here in the back half. I think it would have been more appropriate to go over something like even a Zeri this game. I think would have been okay for Awesome going into the Kaisa, and also just the very heavy, like, you know, Xin, Gwen frontline. But yeah, we'll see if Kalista can work.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm getting is that FPX really putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Kalista Renata, gonna get a massive advantage in lane. We're gonna try to snowball the dragon stacking on the bottom side, really play through bot lane with all the priority that you can get. If at any point that advantage is decelerated or just completely broken by NIP's top side, if they start roaming onto the bottom, then yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, Matt. But we have hit the rift. NIP, off the back of a very devastating loss against Top Esports, and FPX on a hot start after being able to trump OMG pretty nicely. We're going to see if that momentum is maintained or if it is put to a stop.
Wow, and Awesome actually going for the heal instead of the barrier. We've pretty much exclusively seen barriers on ADs, but ability to maybe utilize the heal to help him space some stuff. Kind of curious to see this. Of course, the Rakan lane unlikely to take Ignite, and I guess he doesn't feel the need to cleanse anything because unless it's a Rakan combo, he really can't, and Renata can go Mikhails and feel okay. But interesting to see that some make an appearance. Looks like we're going to have both of our junglers start a little bit of a mirrored clear, both starting on their red buff sides and starting the AoE camp, and Vi starting right on the red buff.
Yep. Nice benefit of starting off on a Raptor camp is you're going to get that camp to spawn that much quicker, and you can kind of accelerate the rubber banding and the experience lead you might be able to have if you're just going for a full clear Andy playstyle. Is Leave already taking a lot of damage with the Ignite. Awesome going for one last auto attack, but the Rend does not do enough damage to actually get the full all-in. But that is both summoner spells popped on Leave's Kai'Sa.
Yeah, that's not bad. That said, you can see Awesome was actually spotted, or they spotted Aki on a ward. So Aki went Raptors and then crossed over. He was looking for a play onto FPX's bot lane. Not able to find it. Actually did force Awesome off of a little bit of creep XP as Aki gets into the jungle to take away a blue buff. But this was spotted by the ward you see in the rivers. So FPX aware of what's going on and aware that Aki at least going to make an appearance mid as he tries to go defend his own blue buff now, but Shadow is here.
This is dangerous. Yeah. Aki knows that if he face checks into a level 3 Vi while being only level 2 on Xin, you're just down in base stats, you're down in extra ability. Not the boldest or not the smartest decision to make,
going for his
bold
red
as it may be. And now, I mean, Aki, the fact that he got spotted on that invade, he has slowed his overall level 3 clear. Shadow's going to try to at least take full advantage of this, but he needs to wait for Awesome and Jwei to be able to push out their wave first before he can go and complete the invade. So Aki takes grace in that information, goes for the Krugs first, guarantees that Shadow cannot stop him on that. And at that point, Shadow knows that there's no more time to make the invade happen.
I gotta say, though, I love what Aki's done. He set himself behind a little bit from this, but not really. Like, Vi's not going to go take any camps away from him in the end. It is going to be a choice of a Prio Crab, but look at the experience between the ADs. It's even right now, but that wave is forming and coming into Leave, who's getting back into the lane. It's a big experience disadvantage now for the Kalista, and that hurts a lot in that lane, especially as Kalista, obviously you want to try and push your weight around early, especially going up against a Kai'Sa. So I think that Aki's decision, what he did, do we see that lead in his own scoreboard against Shadow? No. But do I think that he set up a better map for his team? Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just a great adaptation by NIP's jungler to recognize the volatility of this bottom lane matchup and just saying, hey, you know what? I need to make sure that Leave and ppgod don't get completely snowballed on, because that is the one win condition that FPX really want to look for, right? Or at least it's one that you can at least control a little bit better. You have this Gwen on the top side. You should feel pretty confident that Shanji's just going to win that by himself. Doinby, you don't really necessarily need to protect that lane because Doinby is going to try to facilitate the rest of the map. So Kai'Sa's the one egg you gotta coddle until she comes online.
Yeah, the only bummer for Aki is that he did lose his respawn Raptors. That's an expensive camp to lose, so it's even. That's going to put Shadow up just a wee bit once he clears out his camps and catches back up. But still, I like the choice coming out of Aki, and actually curious to see what is kind of an interesting mix of items here that we have. Aki really going for the ruby crystals and the health, not the damage. We're not used to seeing that out of Xin, so kind of curious actually from him. We got to keep our eyes open to see if there's going to be any other changes or strays away from the usual when it comes to this.
Yeah, because you can still build Sundered Sky with these 2 ruby crystals. But I wonder if just by going for the extra ruby crystals, you're gonna make yourself a little bit more durable in a skirmish scenario, and all you're relying on is just the setup of the 3-talent strike, getting that knock up, and that should at least give you the confidence that the rest of your teammates will follow up with the damage necessary to go for it, because not going for the long swords means that you're not clearing your camps that much faster. You're not clearing grubs that much faster. But Aki's going to go for it anyway because he has prio in both Doinby's lane as well as Shanji's lane at the moment. And I imagine that FPX should be going for a dragon response on the bottom side.
I see Shadow's starting to look around for it, but there's a control ward in the back of the pit, so they would spot him if he's able to do it. His heal popped actually from Awesome. Not going to get anything though.
Okay, Sheer throwing Shanji into the wall. The needlework doing a nice bit of burst damage. Uh-oh. Looks like Shanji was just overestimating how fast Doinby was going to come in and underestimating what kind of damage output Sheer had on that Mega Gnar form. And the flash away means it's first blood for FPX.
You know, they did nerf the R. That's like the one thing they kind of nerfed, right? That's got to be it. Yeah. That was a bit interesting from Shanji, I gotta say.
Once again, you know, we on the broadcast weren't familiar with Sheer's game on this Gnar. I don't think Shanji was either.
Yeah, I don't think he was familiar with his own game on the Gwen there, actually.
he might need to take a little respect away.
6?
Aki has flash.
Okay.
Yep. Immediately burned. Comes at the cost of the Between the Worlds from Care. That's going to come off cooldown a lot sooner, and we'll take a look at the replay on the top side.
Man, he's just out of mana. For me, I think casting the R, a bit of this is getting the wave in, but the commit afterwards too, and not just walking away, and then Sheer flashing out of the combo, quite nice, but just very awkward from Shanji. That was looks like a play that one of us would make here in the booth, not a pro player for an IP.
I can just hear it in comms now. I need to get the wave in. And you know what? He burned flash. It's fine. We'll see if FPX can now leverage this, because this is what separates, you know, good teams from the best teams in the LPL. As soon as you're given a window like that, the best teams will be able to just drive that wedge further open and open until it becomes a unclosable wound
and
that NEI can't deal with it.
And to be fair, I mean, FPX is not the best team that we have in this group, right? They're the Pool 4 team, but if there was a player that we had to highlight off this team heading in, it probably was Sheer. And the win that FPX picked up earlier today was off the back of Sheer's Gnar, blind picked, and actually, you know, finding a player of the game and having a big one. So this time, Sheer gets a choice of taking Gnar into the Glen or any other champ. Ends up taking the Gnar, and to see him net a solo Boldo. Good start in this one. We'll see if Sheer, I mean, he is a player that we have our eyes on to see if he can kind of climb the ranks of the LPL and make his way up the ranks as a top laner. Good chance to do some damage here against Shanji. Good buffer there from Shanji.
Yeah. Sheer just still trying to tango with the Gwen.
That's not a great start.
Throws him away. I think in this case, Sheer recognizes that he's no longer winning the trade, and a good chuck away on the ultimate. Ghost pop by Shanji, not able to close the distance here. You know what? You know, Shanji might have just made an oopsie in that first fight, but now paying a little bit more respect to the cooldowns and the trade potential that Sheer has on the Mega Gnar form. Seems to have regained control.
The big one, that chunk was still enough. Sheer's going to burn his TP. It's not empowered yet, so it's slow to get top, so he misses a big chunk of that wave off the chunk from Shanji. So even if it didn't connect on the kill, wasn't able to hit all the snips off the ult. Still was able to get some golden XP to die to the turret, not go into the hands of the mini Gnar. So small win for Shanji, and at least nice bounce back up there against Sheer.
Yeah. Still going to keep our eyes on this Gnar. Of course, Sheer made the magic happen, not in laning phase, But in those massive team fights against OMG, we're going to see if FPX can leverage that further once we get to those item breakpoints. Still working towards what I believe should be Trinity Force Rush for the Gnar. And I want to point our attention towards this bottom side matchup because, you know, after the early all-in attempt from Awesome and Jwei, they have not really had any other windows to really try and get that snowball going. The fact that Leave is now on this top side, farming almost 15-20 CS above the Kalista. It's a good start as these grubs, at least Shadow's able to take one, but they have to forfeit the rest.
Yeah, no way. The bot lane responding to the moves that neny is making. Their bot lane was top. They kind of did a little bit of cross-country work here, Sum and Jwei. And unfortunately to no avail for them. So 4 grubs to 1 at the moment, about to be 5 to 1. Definitely going to be a bit of a challenge for FPX to hold on as their big wave clear is in Aurora, and then their hope is that Sheer can win the side lane. But right now with Rakan and Xin hovering, it's really tough for Sheer to step up and do anything.
At least for FPX, second dragon is coming up. They might have a chance to push their vision line and look to contest it and continue getting the dragon stacking up on their side. But first item power spikes are coming in on side of NIP, Riftmaker, and Yuntal for Shanji and Leave, respectively. This doesn't necessarily mean NIP are now, you know, Thanos on the map, but the fact that they've been able to scale up at this point, at this pace so far, and FPX haven't really been slamming the gas pedal in the acceleration department. The concerns are starting to creep up.
No, I think that's a good point, because there comes a time where the Vi kind of runs out of gas. Kalista needs a forever fight, but I just think it's really tough to play Kalista into the comp that NIP is presenting you.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really, you know, Sheer, he has the kill. He's not necessarily up against the Gwen, but it still feels like Sheer's been one of the better performers, and at least he's more up than other people on his team. I want to see if Sheer can kind of throw his weight around and have the same kind of map impact that he did against OMG with those big TPs on the Mega. You see Sheer is kind of tickling the dragon in the setup around here to see if he can pop Mega.
They are collapsing.
That's
and as
Mega.
You called it, Sheer's Mega is about to go off now. He has flash available. Maybe he can get in. And the threat of the Mega is enough that Shadow is able to secure it. Aki tries to go back in for a steal. Has flash if he needs it, but he pops the pressing guard. Care trying to press the advantage forward. Shanji forced away by Sheer as he scoops him right back into his team. Vault breaker flash into the combo. Awesome is going to benefit off a nice kill credit off the top of Shanji's head.
Hey, nice for FPX. They got a kill, but again, it's only one. They were able to pick up the dragon, so that's a perk.
That's definitely the bigger win. 2 dragons to the name. Uh-oh. Shadow doesn't have flash anymore. He used it for the Vault Breaker combo, and now even with the bailout, still going to go down. NIP get a consolation prize.
Well, I guess Shadow did his job by securing the objective and decided to throw one away to the enemy team, fortunately. Happens to the best of us. As FPX, I still think their comp, for me, it just runs out of gas at some point against what NIP has. Taking another look. I thought that the FPX were a little bit in danger here when they split, but again, Sheer, really good combo on the Shanji after the hop. It gets him out of the miss after he moved it, and then was able to hit the wall up because of that. So, really well played by Sheer.
Yeah. Big note, though, a lot of summoner spells were burned just to make that play happen. And Shanji was already down to death, so it's not like they invested all these cooldowns for a big bounty pickup. They just got it for another standard kill. So when we're talking about like ways that FPX want to leverage a massive snowball, like, yes, that is the play you want to make, but you also want to make it successively a few more times so that you can really create that gold disparity. And, you know, we're not saying this to criticize, but we're just saying, hey, you know, if FPX really want to bring home this game, you know, it's got to be like, it can't just be the one and done play, you know? It got to be really on the ball and just doing it as soon as your ultimate cooldowns are up and available.
Yeah, we'll see. At the moment, we see Shadow on the bot side towards the Gwen, and of course on the side that's stronger for FPX, just given Sheer on the Gnar. He does kind of need a base, though, before they actually pull off a play or even attempt to do so. I'm sure he's sitting on a little bit of gold, given the where he's at in items versus the Gwen. That we've seen Sheer on the map for a little bit. So, yeah. Looks like it's just going to be a reset after this wave. And curious to see what FPX chooses to do. It feels like Vi can play towards both the Gnar and the Aurora. So, Shadow has options. I just think that playing towards the Gnar, Triforce being purchased, that probably for me is the best path or best chance at success.
Yep. Karen might be in trouble. Has Flash, has Between the Worlds available. Easily used. Oh, nice prediction by ppgod. Oh, but the seismic shove was short, as you called it. Not able to flip Care right back into the team, but Leave in a 1v1 against Awesome. The Ren, not enough. Leave victorious on the Kaisa as we take a leave. Right back to the top side of the map. Doinby on the run away from Sheer as he's trying to bat him down with the mini form, but Aki goes under the tower, but he's taking turret aggro, and Shadow has to CC to lock him down. Takes him out, and Sheer goes Mega. Should be enough to force Shanji and Doinby away from being able to pick up any more kills. And this is the kind of explosiveness that we want to see from FPX, being able to punish NIP, making a couple mistakes on the over-eagerness in the dive.
Yeah, but again, so much was burned on this as both top laners TP'd. And, like, Aki, yes, he goes under the turret and dies, but he's also feels like he's dead either way on the back half. So it's almost like it was a bit of overcommit from NIP, but they actually end up coming out on top of the play because Awesome found Callista as Care. A great escape here from Care. Flashes away from the rocks and is able to use the Between Worlds to get out. Doinby shorts the W. After that, again, Sheer's TPing behind. So Aki just kind of gives himself to trade as much as he can. I think if he held the Crescent Guard and was able to maybe use it on Shadow, could have actually been double kill. Because, yeah, Shadow stuck out. And then on the flip side, assume walking over reward. Leave hits the W. Beautiful from Leave. Did a nice job of hiding that Void Seeker as well in the terrain. So very, very nice.
And Doinby knows that there's someone there, but steps up anyway. The seismic shove is not going to save him today. FPX grateful to get another kill for themselves on the board here. But still, as you've been calling out, not necessarily enough for FPX to feel confident with the lead, as they're still technically overall down gold, but with the destruction of this turret, it is not the first turret taken off the entire rift, as that happened in the mid lane thanks to NIP, but a little bit of an extra gold injection for them as they're trying to maintain competitiveness with NIP in this game. They're going to get the third dragon, and they are going to be on soul point.
Yeah,
so if NIP is not at a all-time, breaking point by the time we get to that dragon, that is FPX's best hope.
It is. I still think that this was a really expensive take. Like, they lost top outer for it and Rift Herald. You're up against 5 grubs, and given where the map's at, now NIP gets to pretty easily play for a bot Herald play where they can try and push for 2 crashes. As you can see them really setting up for this. I think that even with the soul going over to FPX, it's a nice backdoor opportunity to maybe win, but the goal of the Rift at this moment is for NIP to stack up so much gold that FPX can't fight them in the next break.
ppgod gets jumped on, but then he turns it around with the quickness.
TP.
However, Jwei is flashing forward, and the collapse from Care on the TP Between Worlds doesn't get... Oh! Turn off the camera! Oh, no! ppgod dodging the Mega Gnar ultimate, but Doinby not gonna survive this time around. FPX threw a lot of cooldowns to make that happen. Meanwhile, Leave is gonna push in and take a tier 2 off the map.
Actually, this could be big if Aki is able to cancel some bases. Did manage to stop all 3. Because again, the push is on. This is 5 grubs, and NIP can even use this to take some topside camps away from FPX too. As yeah, with the Raptors will fall to the hands of Leave. So again, we see FPX making plays, but it has been 2 plays in a row where Leave has not been with the group, and Leave has still found a big win. First fight, it was killing Callista and taking an outer, and this time it was really pressuring an inner. As we're taking another look, ppgod did such a nice job of buying time. The E-dashes to get away from the Aurora combo and then to actually get out. Doinby dies for his sins. Not exactly worth it. I feel like ppgod would rather go down than Doinby, but hey, a smooth criminal on his way out. Not bad.
at least ppgod was able to buy a decent amount of time going in for the re-engage. And it did call the attention of majority of FPX members on the Rift, and I'm gonna use the term that you called out before, expensive. Another take to get, well, you know, maybe a kill or two towards the credit of FPX, but you know, they're not necessarily shoring up the deficit that hard and being able to create a gold lead sustainably for themselves. And the fact that Leave, the one person that you do not want to give a freebie scaling into a 3-item Kaisa, I mean, you missed the window early game. Credit to Aki, who was able to dissuade and diffuse the volatility that could have happened after Awesome and Jwei went in for that early level 1 all-in. And now it feels like FPX can just feel the pressure of the timer ticking away.
We did see with the LPL flu, there was a graphic so that FPX actually, if this goes really late, have a decent chance to win. It kind of swings back in their favor. I'm going to assume that's based off of the current mid-lane differential and also how late game Aurora slams really hard. Speaking of slam though, Terrell dropped in top lane. That's dealt with by FPX. Yeah, best is being slammed. That's a nice
There's
wall.
a ward on it. Oh, good wall from Jwei. 3,000 HP. Can Shadow get in? 2,000 HP is close. Oh! It was spotted early by Aki, and Shadow steals it away. NIP, can they win this fight? But now they have to deal with the Otacon GA, so they have a second chance at life. FPX, they might go down in the fight here, but if they can at least trade any kills, it's a win. Down goes Aki. Doinby flashing forward, trying to see if he can look for more and burn more GAs off the top. FPX losing Jwei. Care. I don't think he's getting out of this one. The TP from Doinby tries to throw out the weirding for extra damage. Flash forward from Leave. You know what? He just wants to flex his muscle a little bit there. A little bit of a fumble from NIP. The early smite from Aki, not ideal. And FPX still gonna try to oh, big shutdown from Shadow. Hey, wait a minute, FPX. They're starting to feel alive right now.
No, this is disastrous. Look at Leave's death timer and look at the dragon timer. That's sold for FPX. The fact that Otacon was stolen means that the fight in the back half that was somewhat even is still a big win for FPX because these death timers are going to jail NIP. It buys FPX some time to actually take all the standing turrets they still have on the map as mid-outer looking to fall, and then they have the time now to set up for this dragon soul. That's huge for them to get Infernal Soul.
And we talked about if FPX could avoid NIP being at a 2-item, 3-item breakpoint across their star carries here. Shanji does have 2 items, but, you know, Leave coming in 3 items, but no summoner spells, using that flash aggressively, getting punished. FPX, I have to imagine they're painting a giant target on this Kaisa in this fight.
Shanji already has to base. There's no way that he can get back. So with the chunk, now FPX, they're going to play hard for this. And keep in mind, give Callista empowered smite.
Shadow, originally looking for a flank, gets back into the pit. The wall comes out from Doinby. Doesn't really stop FPX from burning down this dragon as they resume aggro. The spears are stacking. Can they get it cleanly? It is secured. Infernal Soul. Here comes Sheer. Throws them all into the arms of Awesome. Shadow buys time into the backline with the cease and desist. And Care is wiping them off. Awesome is undeterred and he is protected. Not even Shanji's Gwen can stop FPX from upsetting NIP. FPX are gifted in Otacon and they don't waste their moment.
I thought Shanji was going to carry that fight in the back half, but Shadow found him and now Leave. Going to be hunted. Observers playing around with the vision info that we have a little bit on the screen, but a big win for FPX. Again, Infernal Soul secured and a good fight coming out from Sheer again on the Megadar. Got in the mix of everything and really controlled the terrain. As we take a look at the replay, first off, good combo to secure this one. It's a hostile takeover flash from Jwei that guarantees Aki is kept busy while that's smited, and then it's the fight. Sheer's in the middle of everything, buys some time. It's a good between worlds that came out as well, but Shanji was really big during this. I thought he might have been able to carry this one in the back half, but no. Assume was actually able to drain tank through that one with the wit's end. That's really big difference in this game. The fact that Callista was able to be that effective in the fight and survive Shanji.
Yeah, I mean, Awesome is down 2,000 gold against Leave. NIP had done such a fantastic
Yeah.
job for a majority of the game, funneling resources and giving Leave a natural gold advantage over the marksman. But if Leave is getting pressured in these fights and Awesome isn't, it doesn't matter who has the gold advantage. Your Kai'Sa's not able to freely hit while the other Kalista is just, you know, raking spears left, right, and center. Now FPX have really set themselves up for a potential upset over NIP. The gold advantage is still relatively small, but Infernal Soul on your side, you have given yourself the best tools to succeed and pull this off.
I mean, the real concern now is, does it come down to an Elder flip or anything like that? Because I don't think that's a scenario that FPX would exactly love. Oh boy, Doinby's pulling the trigger.
I mean, Awesome is on the right side of the wall, looking for a pick. Care goes golden. He's completely separated. Here comes the hostile takeover. Maybe FPX can pull something out. Now it's a 4v5, but NIP
Shanji
looking a lot more confident as they bully their way back into the river. Shanji pressing forward with the needlework. There's the flash from Aki. Good down goes Shadow. And Sheer is mini. He doesn't have to be big and throw him against the wall. He's the one that's thrown into the ground. NIP just shrug away the fact that they lost the Infernal Soul, and they're still winning the fight, and they're going to take the Baron off the back.
FPX are just way too far deep if they want to actually pull this off. Care wasn't able to hit the between worlds. Instead, he was sent to the gray screen, and that's what really started the rough and tumble nature of FPX in this one. That on top of the fact that Shanji on the Gwen, he might have been 0-3-2 entering the fight, but he had 2 items and was doing some shredding in the back half. I was a little bit surprised about this one from Doinby. I'm just also surprised that Care sat on his ult for that long. He could have used the between worlds to at least buy some space, get out. Instead, stands right next to Doinby, so it makes for an easy engage from ppgod as he popped the charm. And then the chase from Shanji. Look at how much work the needlework is doing on top of these Qs. No chance for FPX as they were split after Care fell, and the rest of FPX fell around it. So now NIP got some gold back and have a Baron and should for sure be able to at least weather the storm at worst before Elder.
All spawns from Doinby as NIP have wrangled control of the game back in their own hands. We're in a pause at the moment. If you're just tuning in, we have no idea what the pause is for, so we're gonna pray for the best case scenario. And
if you're just tuning in, by the way, this is hands down the best game of the night, and we don't know how long this pause is going to go, but if possible, it would be great if we can maybe run the group standing real quick just to see where we stand within the group. We are 4 out of 6. Shout out to producer Kai for always rolling with the punches.
This is our so this is with 4 of the 6 games already tallied up in Group C. Actually, we haven't gotten a chance to tally it up, so we'll give you the numbers. Go ahead.
Verbal hits. Here we go. Top Esports 2-0, NIP 1-1, OMG 0-2, and FPX also 1-1. So this is a big game between 2 1-1 teams, and if FPX were to win and to find a 2-1 on the day, that'd be honestly kind of monumental. No one expected them to, I think, win more than 1-2 games to, again, even be able to contest for a top spot in Group C. For me, I thought this group was actually, I think out of all the groups, this group for me was the most defined in terms of how I ranked the teams 1 through 4. It has proven to not be the case tonight, which has made for some interesting games.
Yeah, I mean, I think a majority of us on the desk had FPX pinned for, 4th, ending 4th, and we just had a little bit more faith in OMG overall based on kind of the credibility of OMG taking 2 games off of what was the number 1 seed out of their respective group during the first split against JDG.
We're all getting clowned on.
I mean, it happens, man. We did not,
Sightseer grapes, man. You guys got some superpowers.
We weren't familiar with FPX's game, clearly, and,
Oh, I was, and that's why I had them last. I just didn't know they had this game in them.
Well, exactly.
And different.
Now, the big thing to note is FPX winning Infernal Soul, but then being caught in a fight that they clearly were not really prepared to take. NIP just jumping on them as soon as they see that Sheer was not in mega form and not ready to join the team and really make that difference maker. we had already pointed out a lot of the major advantages that this composition had for FPX is when, you know, Sheer is able to create that space. But NIP, you know, bouncing back, and now they have Baron. If we look to the last, what could be few minutes of this game, I'm kind of grasping at straws for how FPX, I mean, I had so much confidence in after the Infernal Soul game, but it just feels like you're just giving whatever structures NIP will take as long as it's not the base, and then hoping the Elder spawns as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, because there are 5 grubs, they've already done some pretty good work around the map. Curious to see what they're able to prevent from being taken here. But, oh, back into game. Of course, when we go into the pauses, we are kind of stuck on a private island. We really have no comms with the LPL producing roles, so we have no idea what the pauses usually lead to. Fortunate that it is a short one tonight.
Yep.
As we dive back in. Big thing that jumps out at me on the screen, I know that Baron was just taken by NIP Rafa. Look at that cosmic drive in Gwen's inventory for Shanji. They just shredded the last fight. He's gotten even bigger and is even that much more dangerous in this one.
The observers highlighting a ward deep behind enemy lines on NIP's side as they're pushing up through the bottom side of the map. Quickly eviscerate the tier 2 turret. Care taking a base now after he pushed out the top side. Will they look for that TP? Will they look for that deep flank? Shanji is still pushing through the mid lane.
Yeah.
There's options here.
Oh boy,
Care.
here we go.
There's the Between Worlds. I think NIP just immediately disengaged from that one.
Yeah.
They're just gonna wait on the next minion wave. Kind of a fizzle ulti from Care.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer there. As we still got a decent chunk on the ppgod. He's not someone that can base and TP back. Going to be actually just going to throw out the wall and see if NIP can get any hits down on a turret that's already at 1/4. And
yeah.
Even with ppgod being low, they're just going to brute force down the inhibitor. We'll see if they decide to stick around and push for another one, or if they head for the hills, get ppgod's health back, and then just do the same setup that they just did, except instead of bot mid, top mid will now be the setup.
Yeah. Big thing from NIP, recognizing that Sheer's Mega Form had just been popped. Jwei immediately sectioning him off.
I lied. You don't want to play top. The fact that that top wave is already pushing in NIP's favor is all you need. It's all about the Elder Dragon, man. It's an early Elder that's spawning, or 29 minutes into the game, and Elder is 40 seconds away, Rafa. Shadow's done a nice job of at least getting some space through the bot line.
Yeah. He's trying to set up some deep vision. There's still teleports available from Sheer and Care. The Gnar bar has been built up. Not to Mega quite yet, but in range. Oh, this is a really, really deep flank from Shadow. I don't know if he got spotted at all.
He's not.
Oh, they have an idea. They're jumping right onto Jwei, but he pops the stasis, immediately flashing back to the safety of his teammates. Care throwing out the weirding, buy some space for the rest of his team. Sheer's Mega is popped, and that's going to be running out soon. And I imagine NIP will pull the trigger on that Elder Dragon once that Mega Form is gone. Care trying to retreat back to the base. And they're just going to... They don't even care about the Elder as long as they're maintaining pressure through the mid lane. That forces FPX's hand.
FPX is, they're lost. They're responding to the waves. And keep in mind, there's a super wave that's hitting the top inner that can't be contested just because Elder's up. And Shanji pops Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, FPX just have to give ground here. Sheer is in mini form. NIP already knowing what kind of strength they can use to brute force FPX out of the space here. Shadow, still no flash, as he used it after Jwei kind of pulled a reverse Uno card when he tried to get the jump on him with that flank. They're in the river. Leave is slowly whittling down this Elder Dragon. The Weaver's Wall from Jwei gonna give them a little bit of extra space. Shadow brute forces his way in with the Vault Breaker. NIP turn away from the Dragon, try to posture. FPX have to wait on Sheer's Mega Form, who is racking it up right now, getting the auto attacks on the ward. Hops in, gets stunned up. ppgod tries to go in. Sheer throws him back. There's a Night Hostile takeover, but the Elder is secured by Aki, and now FPX just can't do anything about it. Elder Dragon trumps all, and NIP ace FPX. A lighthearted chuckles and smiles, and a pop-off from Jwei as he knows that was a hell of a fight. FPX, damn, they try, but NIP are going to take this game in style.
I mean, this really didn't feel like an NIP win until the last 5 minutes. Then NIP, they found care once. They turned that into 3 kills, turned it into a Baron and into an inhibitor, and then an Elder fight where they take the Elder and win the game. As I gotta say, some bumps in the road today for NIP. It was not the smooth sailing that we've really seen from them here in this one, Rafa. So something to look out for with the rest of the group at least. And FPX showing some fight in this group against our 2 top teams and beating OMG, I think, is also great. But overall, still just kind of surprised at least some of what this group is presenting us with, and also surprised about the fact that NIP, it did take them a while to get going in that one. It's good to see FPX actually show some signs of life. It's something that we haven't seen from them all year, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, these 3 games from FPX are already marketable improvements over everything that we got out of them in the first split group stage, right? So good in terms of overall improvement. I was one of the few people that was kind of skeptical on like the awesome roster swap coming in place of Bat, thinking, is this really going to change that much? I don't know if that is what's causing the difference maker, but you know, sometimes a change of personnel on your team can change up the vibes. Maybe FPX overall feel a lot more confident in going for plays. I mean, that Infernal Dragon fight, that's something that you can walk away from this game at least content with saying, hey, you know what? For a moment there, we were beating one of the best teams in the LPL.
Yeah, and I mean, you gotta see how you can turn those into wins on the scoreboard, and not just wins at some point in time for the game that ends up being a loss. But for a team that, again, coming into the day, they were on a 9-game losing streak. They won their first game of Split 1 groups and lost out from there. I think the change to at least have Assume in, and some of what we have been seeing, looks like Shiran Nar. That's something where if he plays that champ, it feels like FPX, like they played a couple decent games. But yeah, the man, the strength of Gwen is something else. Seeing Gwen get first picked and then like go 0-3-2 to start the game, and then just like 1v9 a fight. In a way, it's Gwen, so I'm not surprised. But in another way, like when I list it out like that, it looks and feels so disgusting to see.
I think it's just further confirmation for the rest of LPL teams that Gwen needs to be higher on the priority list when it comes to banning. If not, you know, if you're going to give away the Gwen, you should feel like you are getting a better trade in the 1-2 on red side. And I mean, what did they get? It was Aurora Vi in exchange?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I think that Vi's like decent. Again, you can try and find a way to make plays into Gwen. It just feels like the changes that they made, like Gwen is still the same champion late, but is able to get there so much faster and so much more consistently with the extra power they put into her ENQ early on, that she feels really, really, really strong.
Yeah. I will say this, couple other exciting moments for FPX. Smite Steal on the Otacon from Shadow, you know, at least that was cool. A little bit of an oopsie on the early smite from Aki. But on the flip side for NIP, one of the big win cons that FPX were trying to leverage was going for the Kalista Renata lane that you were very skeptical about from minute 1, because it's just very hard to try and like actually get that advantage rolling. And they made an honest attempt at it, you know, going for the heal summoner spell to get that extra movement speed and forcing the all-in. They got close. They burned 2 summoner spells off of Leave, but the fact that Aki adapted his pathing to be more defensive and protective of Leave, and it wasn't something that Shadow could like get an advantage off of in response, because he is playing a Vi. He's not playing like this super oppressive power farmer. It was a great call by Aki, and it prevented Leave from getting completely put in the dirt.
No, I mean, frankly, I think that really helped warp the game, at least in favor of NIP early on. Because when you know, your Kai'Sa, you have a lead into Kalista, your passive does a good chunk of damage. If you're able to get that out into Kalista, again, you don't want to take super extended trades where you can't burst her down until she puts, you know, 50 spears in you, gets the kill. But still getting ahead early on I think that champion in that matchup was really important for NIP.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through the rest of this again. This wasn't a good game for NIP. This wasn't played clean mechanically. We had a lot of moments where NIP weren't on the same page, but all it took was one pick later on before Baron. They turned it into 3. They turned that into an inhibitor. They turned that into an Elder Dragon. And sometimes, if you want to be a great team, even on days or games where you don't have your best stuff like that, you got to be able to pull off sequences that NIP just did. So good to see them really show up and show out for that later on.
Yeah.
Hey, even Otacon Yoinked, man. Like, a lot of unfortunate things happened at NIP. The Otacon Yoink was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually gave FPX a shining hope. There is, you know, suddenly light at the end of the tunnel, and it was like, oh my gosh, we can sequence this into the Infernal Dragon secure. And if just for a glimpse, I was the biggest FPX believer in the
I was too.
world.
I thought they might be able to take that one home, like legitimately. I just yeah, a bit of a bummer.
Well, to kind of put this game into TLDR terms, the favorites did win, but not in the way that if you are fans of the favorites, want them to win. It was not the most convincing win, but, you know, still good for NIP and their standings to just, you know, recognize, hey, sometimes we don't put our best performances on, you know, the day. They did get pretty rocked by Top Esports just before this game. Maybe overall, they'll be able to recover, as this is the end of their first round in this double round robin we have. Maybe the next time we see NIP in this group, they'll come to play a lot more cleanly, a lot more dominantly against the rest of the competition they have to offer, since NIP, we have big expectations based off of what we saw from them in the first split. You know, the impressions that we got, and it made us really excited about this squad. Now we want to see them carry that momentum forward into split 2.
Yeah, a bit of a bumpy road today, but it's still something that we'll see if NIP is able to do that throughout the rest of the group. Of course, there's a double round robin, so they'll get a stab at Top Esports later on, and hopefully one for their sakes that involves no dogs. They want a lack of dogs in that one for sure.
Quick hit, Matt. Who's getting player of the game? Is it? I feel like Leave is the best choice.
Oh, no, it's Shanji. Even
Really?
with the griefing early. Yeah. Just give it to Shanji and put me out of my misery. Oh my god. What? Dude.
Good for Doinby, man.
Doinby did not play well in this game. Notice how they aren't running any highlights until, like, Otacon. You know? I'm tired. Yeah, we have another game.
Anyway, you know what? Grifter Doinby secures a player of the game for himself.
There to vote.
That's our split 1 regular season MVP. Go. Let's go,
he's
Doinby.
back, guys. He's back.
Let's go.
When in doubt, you know?
Or a farming for the player of the game graphic. You can't just give it to anyone else. Anyway, last game of the day coming up between OMG and Top Esports. We'll see you in a bit.